Good morning. This is KELOLAND on the go with all you need to know in news and weather as you start your day.
The 2022 South Dakota legislative session gets underway tomorrow in Pierre. Lawmakers are prepared to debate legalizing marijuana, how to spend nearly $1 billion in federal coronavirus relief, and what to do with several bills touching on social issues.
Governor Kristi Noem will give her State of the State address to open the session. KELOLAND News will have a crew there. Be sure to follow our coverage both on air and online. An empty chair of honor will be dedicated today in the South Dakota Capitol, acknowledging members of the U.S. Armed Forces who have been prisoners of war or missing in action. The public ceremony is set for 2 o'clock this afternoon on the second floor's West Wing.
The Brookings chapter of Rolling Thunder Charities donated the chair. KELOLAND Capitol News Bureau reporter Bob Mercer chatted with two men who are part of the chapter.
And this is just to display that we're still thinking about them, and we need to think about them and their families until they come home.
We got to remember those that have gave all for our country, and we're still waiting for answers for their families on coming home.
Governor Noem plans to speak at today's ceremony. The State Capitol Complex Restoration and Beautification Commission gave approval to the Rolling Thunder project in April.
The chair will be the second display within the Capitol honoring veterans. Plaques highlighting Congressional Medal of Honor recipients from South Dakota are displayed on the Capitol's first floor.
Now let's get a check of our weather with meteorologist Scott Munn. Warmer temps this week, Scott.
Yeah, nice to see that. In the meantime, we are starting rather chilly numbers this morning. In the single digits on either side of zero. That covers eastern KELOLAND, and you throw in a little bit of wind, and we have wind chills that are in the minus single digits and minus teens across eastern South Dakota and into Minnesota. Technically, we still have a wind chill advisory out until 10 o'clock this morning in northeastern South Dakota. Then that will be allowed to expire. As it looks like, we'll have temperatures in the teens and 20s in eastern KELOLAND today. 30s in central South Dakota. Then we're talking 40s and 50s in western KELOLAND. More details on your forecast coming up.
Thank you, Scott. South Dakota Republican John Thune will seek a fourth term in the U.S. Senate. Thune announced his re-election bid on his personal Twitter page Saturday, posting, "South Dakota deserves a strong and effective senator who can deliver the results they expect. I am uniquely positioned to get that job done."
Thune is the minority whip, the second most powerful Republican in the Senate. Thune won his Senate seat in 2004, defeating Democratic incumbent Tom Daschle. The Republican primary election is June 7th. The South Dakota Democratic Party is questioning Thune's desire to serve another term in the Senate.
The state party chairman, Randy Seiler, posted on Saturday after weeks of saying he's not sure he wants to represent South Dakota for another term in the Senate. John Thune announced his intent to run for re-election. South Dakotans deserve a U.S. senator who actually wants the job. Aberdeen attorney Brian Bangs is seeking the Democratic Party's nomination for the U.S. Senate. Bangs announced his candidacy back in the fall. January is National Human Trafficking Prevention Month, and a Sioux Falls organization is building awareness. Call to Freedom helps victims of sex and labor trafficking, as well as people who have suffered sexual exploitation or assault.
They provide housing, transportation, counseling, and other services. Call to Freedom says it's important for people to be aware and on the lookout for signs of human trafficking.
We want to just make sure that the community is aware that, yes, human trafficking is happening right here in Sioux Falls, but also throughout our state.
We're able to kind of beef up our trainings and our events that we can do the self-defense, we can hit the parent classes, and we are able to just get out on social media and let everybody know that January is National Human Trafficking Awareness Month.
Call to Freedom is opening a new facility in April to replace its current location. That's a look at some of our top stories.
Now let's get one last look at your weather with meteorologist Brian Karstens. Brian?
All right, weather it is, and we see today high pressure on the maps. That's keeping our weather fairly quiet for now, a little bit cool, of course, across the northeast. Still chilly, but we are in the process of warming things up. Tomorrow, the westerly winds will pick up speed here, 15 to 30. Some of those winds will actually gust higher than that. That could lead to some patchy blowing snow, by the way, in Sisseton and Leola. I would expect Sioux Falls area 15 to 30, but boy, it's going to be a mild day. 40-degree weather is returning, and get used to it because Wednesday and Thursday also looking fairly mild across most of KELOLAND. There could be a little strip of snow in Minnesota Wednesday or Wednesday night. We're not really calling for much of that here at this time, but keep watching the weather because there's another clipper coming down the pike here by Friday. Now that one could deliver a little stronger punch of snow to much of the state of Minnesota, portions of eastern South Dakota. Also, it may eventually bring in some wind with it as we get into Friday afternoon and Friday night, but we'll still pick apart that forecast later in the week. Mild weather, though, look at the dominance of that here for midweek across the midsection of the country. All right, highs today, 24 Sioux Falls, 25 in the Chamberlain area. We jump into the 30s and 40s in the southwest, and even 54 today in Rapid City. Mild chunk of that 7-day forecast, days 2, 3, and 4. Even the weekend, not terribly cold. I think it's going to be a while before we go back to that. Again, watch that snow chance, especially East River on Friday. Right now, though, for Aberdeen, just to get those temperatures in the 30s and 40s, that's a pretty big deal. It's been cold for a while, and now we're looking at things turning the corner a little bit here. And also for Pierre, a big jump in the numbers tomorrow to 49 with that west wind. 51 degrees on Wednesday. Rapid City in the west, it looks like a pretty good stretch of 50s through Thursday. There could be some snow coming here Friday as well for the west, and especially the northern Black Hills. We'll keep an eye on that. Check out details online at KELOLAND.com and have a great Monday.